Hello, everybody. This is Johan again. Today I'm going to show you how to do arm and disarm of analytic rules in a AI camera. So what I'm going to show you is how to do this. You have a button here called disarm. Push that, you will disarm everything. You have a button here called arm, and you arm the rule. So how can I do this in Wave? To do that, I actually need to create a few buttons and some events in Wave. So first, I like to create two buttons. So in order to do that, I go to Camera Rules, I add soft trigger, and I will of course choose my camera, and I will choose that this will be visible for all users. I will call this button arm, and I will give it a padlock, a lock padlock with this icon. And now, in order to do soft triggering to be able to create several events, it's only possible for one trigger to do one action. But there's a way around this, and if you do create the trigger and choose HTTP request. And then if you call a request called createEvent, so basically this will send the information back. So this is my IP for my Wave server. Remember to put also the port number. So the API createEvent with the caption arm. And of course, you need to log in, give the credentials to, write that correctly. Give the credential to log in. So this is the thing that you need to do. And what this actually do is when you push this button now, it will send the message back to Wave with the caption arm. And with events, we can do several actions on the same event. So I will save this, it will turn up here, and I will add a new button called Disarm instead. So this is my camera, these are all my users, and I will call this Disarm, and I will give this the open padlock instead. Okay, so HTTP request again with the same URL, but I will give this, oh, I can't spell, so Disarm like that. And of course, log in to the system. So the Wave login for the admin account. One thing I actually forgot, it's I want to be able to arm and disarm my system more than once every 1 minute. If I want to disarm, if I accidentally arm my system, I want to disarm it quickly. I want to be able to do it within one second. And the same thing with arms. I will put 1 second here. So make sure you have 1 second, 1 second. Okay. So what we actually done now is that we created two buttons, one called arm and one is disarm. And what these will do is that they will actually send this message back to Wave. Okay, so when we now have this, we want to do an action for each of these events coming in. So yeah, first of all, we actually want to do a push notification with this new version of Wave. We can do push notifications. So we want to do when there's an analytic event that I just created in this camera. And the analytic event was line crossing. So when something crosses my line, I want to do a mobile notification. And I want to send it to myself like this. Okay, so this means as soon as someone crosses this line, I will get a notification to my Wave mobile app. Okay, this is a new function in Wave 4.1. Okay, but I don't want this mobile app to be able to send notification if I don't arm or have the system armed. So what I want to do now is to create a generic event with the caption arm. So as soon as I push my button arm, it will send a generic event back to Wave, and I want to listen to that. So I want to listen to generic event arm coming in. And then I want to do this HTTP request again. And now you need to get a little bit help from our documentation. So if you go to the server webpage, and you have to log into that page, of course. And you need to go to the For Developers tab. So under the For Developer, we publish the API. You can go to the API testing tool. And what we want to do now is to find out the rule that we created. So we go to event rules, and we can do we just push the test method, and then you will see that in this response we will get all the rules existing in the system. So it's quite a lot, and what we are searching for is the push notification. So I want to do a search in the browser, Control F and search, find, and we can search for push, and here we find the push notification event. If you just scroll down, you will find the ID of this event. So you copy this ID, you paste that into the ID text box here, and you again press test method. And now you see that we only have this particular event. And now you want to copy this event. So from the curly bracket to the curly bracket. You don't want to copy the normal bracket, but only from the curly bracket to the curly bracket. Copy everything like that. Go back to Wave, and on this event we want to on the ARM event we want to be sure that the send mobile, this notification event, is enabled. So if you look into all these text, all this JSON formatted text, you can see we have something called disabled false. Okay, disabled false means enabled. So perfect. When I press the arm, I want the disabled false to be false. Okay. The URL will be another event, so it's called saveEventRule. So this is the URL, and I actually saved it here. So my IP address for my server and port, and the EC2 saveEventRule. Okay, go back to Wave client, put that in the HTTP field. And same here, I want to be able to run this more often than once every 1 minute. You also need to log into the system, of course, like that. Okay, so now we created this rule. Of course, now I want to do the same thing, but for disarm. So caption, when a message comes in called disarm, I want to do HTTP request again to the same event rule. Go back here. Well, you can actually go back here and just copy all this. Copy and paste the same JSON formatted text. But in this case, we want to make sure that the disabled rule is disablement for the rule is true. So we replace the false with true, and again we need to of course give the credentials to my wait system again and set the time for 1 second. Okay. So everything is applied. I now have a soft trigger for ARM, a soft trigger for disarm. I have a mobile notification. I have a generic event ARM, which have the disabled false. I have a generic event for disarm, which have the disabled true. So if I look on this rule here, I can see it's enabled. Buttons here, and you can see that my mobile notification here is enabled. So if I press the disarm button here, you will see that, okay, now it's disabled. And if I press the arm button, it's enabled again. So perfect. And this is also perfectly fine to do from the mobile app. So if I log in, well, you cannot see my phone, but if I go to my mobile app, I log into my system, select the camera I'm interested in, you will actually see that you have these two padlock buttons also on the mobile app. So if I press disarm on the mobile app, you can also see that the rule will get disabled. And I press arm again, sorry, there, and it will get armed. So perfectly fine even from the mobile app. Okay, so why did I do two generic events? I could have done this directly from the soft trigger to just paste this JSON message into the button. However, I want to actually do one more thing so that I know that what's armed and disarmed. So I want to actually do another generic event. So we choose generic event again and caption arm. And now I want to do HTTP request, and I want to do HTTP request to the same saveEventRule. But in this case, I want to find the rule for this soft trigger called disarm. So if I go back to my API and go to the event rules, search for everything, I will get all my event rules here, and I want to search for disarm. Okay, so here is my disarm event, and same thing here. You can go just scroll down a bit to go to the ID, copy this ID and paste it here, test method, and you will end up with one, the disarm rule. So and you can see that this is a software trigger, soft trigger. So this is the button. So I want to, again, from the curly bracket to the curly bracket, copy. So copy everything, paste this here, and I want to make sure that when the arm is pressed, I want to enable the disarm. So I want to disable to be false. Okay, that's fine. That's it should be false. So it means that when I press the arm button, this button will be enabled. I of course need to give the credentials again, and I want to do it every second like this. Okay, now when I press the arm button, this button will be enabled. I also want to do, when I press the arm button, I want the arm button to be disabled. Or we can actually make sure that when I press this arm, the disarm button should be disabled. So we do a new event, generic event, and we listen to the disarm. Go to HTTP request, push in. This is the event rule for disarm. So I want to do this to be true, and the HTTP URL is the saveEventRule like this. Every second like this, and I want also to log in. So this means that when I push the disarm button, this disarm button will actually be disabled. Okay, I will enable it again manually so I get both buttons. Okay, now we need to do again a generic event, and this time it will be for ARM, and do again a HTTP request for the saveEventRule, but this time we want to find the ARM rule. So test method, we search for ARM. See that, okay, this was the disarm, 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 disarm. Here is the ARM, and this is not the button. This is another thing. We need to find the button. So software trigger event ARM. So this is the event we are looking for. So we copy the ID of this, paste it in the ID, search it again, and it will only show this software trigger event. Okay, and we copy it from the curly bracket to the curly bracket, copy. Give this here, and what we want to do, this is the ARM button. So when the ARM event comes in, we want to disable this, okay? Every second, okay. And log in. And now, same thing, but the opposite. When a disarm comes, we want to do a HTTP request to the same here, but we want to make sure that disable is false, and we need to give the URL here and the login details. Okay, so now we can test this. Press ARM, the ARM button goes away, this ARM button stays, and our mobile notification is still enabled. We press the disarm button, the disarm button goes away, and the ARM button is shown, and also the mobile notification is turned off. Press this again, the ARM button is disabled, the mobile notification is enabled, and the disarm button is enabled. So in this case, we get kind of a toggle button here. So whenever I press disarm, it will change so that I can arm the system instead. And of course, this works perfectly fine also with the mobile app. So if I go to the mobile app and choose my camera, I will have the same icons. I will have a locked padlock also in the mobile app. So if I press that from the mobile app, it will send the ARM notification to the system, and then disarm button is shown and my mobile notification is turned on, of course. So if I again from the mobile app press the disarm button, the button here will change and then the mobile notification will be turned off. Okay, so that is a little bit of advanced function you can do with Wave. This API stuff is really a lifesaver sometime, and you can do pretty much pretty advanced stuff in Wave. This was everything from me today, so I will try to put this video up on YouTube so you can see it there if you want. So thank you for this time. Cheers. Goodbye.